Have you ever wondered if a narcissist is actually aware that they're not having an emotional connection, that they're not forming like a depth in the relationship? Maybe you're wondering, like, can he actually figure this out? Does he actually understand that there's not a depth to the relationship that you have? Today, I want to dive into the aspect of understanding this awareness piece, but in the emotional connection piece, if they actually understand and see the difference of it. I'm going to be speaking from my own story, from my own experience, and talking to thousands of different people who have gone through this experience and see from their side what this actually looks like, the depth that they actually do or they don't see on a day-to-day basis in dealing with a narcissist. When we're talking through this aspect of narcissists and emotionally having a connection, typically that doesn't happen, right? Like typically you see superficial on all different levels. And oftentimes the narcissist is like, no, we're connected, we're good. But you're like, but it doesn't feel like it, but you don't actually see it. Now, there's overt and there's covert. There's all different types and styles and versions of narcissism. We're not diving into all those today. But just know that the majority of times you do not have a person that actually has depth and an emotional connection to you. So I want to talk first off with this emotional connection about narcissistic blindness. Really the illusion of there actually being an emotional depth in the relationship. Oftentimes narcissists will create this like facade, this pretend connection that says, oh, we're connected, we're good, but in reality, completely opposite. Oftentimes you'll see this at the beginning of the relationship with the love bombing, with trying to do different things to be able to distract you, confuse you, but make you feel like there's this huge connection. Like there's this huge like moment of like, whoa, we really connect, we really get it. And oftentimes when this is going on, it's reflecting back to you different pieces of your own personality. And you start to fall in love with bits and pieces of your personality that they've cherry picked off of you and reflected back. So for instance, like someone would say like, oh, I love this artist, or I love to be able to listen to this type of music. I'd be like, oh my gosh, me too. Like I would connect with them. And so then we'd be driving later and I'd play one of their songs. Did I ever listen to them? No, but I did in that moment to try to build a connection, to try to build this emotional bond, this emotional piece with the other person. If I do this, we'll connect more. If I do this, then she'll like me more. If I do this, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so like you have this piece where narcissists will try to connect with you over and over and over again, trying to be like, oh, if I do this, there will be some piece of a connection. The problem is the majority of time that style of connection is just control. So for me, I thought, oh, this is actually love. This is actually care. This is actually me showing up in a positive way in the relationship, right? No, not necessarily. Because I was trying to manipulate it so that I got the desired result, which was having a relationship with this person, but technically not having any connection at all. Underneath the surface, what was marked by seemingly to have this connection, this niceness, this peace, was just manipulation and self-interest. Just getting the things that I wanted to have in that moment. Narcissists have this skewed perception of relationships, of what they actually look like. And so as a result, a lot of times the emotions and the things that they do are actually just mimicking. Mimicking you, mimicking movies, mimicking other people, mimicking other relationships, anything and everything to appear and to look a certain way. A lot of times manipulating emotions and manipulating different things to be able to get to the end result. What do I actually want out of this? How am I going to get what I want in this relationship? And so on and so forth. So like this happens consistently inside narcissism. Like this piece is like pretty much inherent. It's just there. Like this is what's going on of like this manipulation, this confusion, this all these pieces to try to get to the end result of what the narcissist wants in the moment. Now, is that always conscious? No, not necessarily. Okay, it's not something of like, oh, I don't have an emotional connection, because narcissists are typically viewing it as different. They're like, no, we're connected, we have a great relationship, et cetera, because all they're viewing is what that label is for them. So for you, emotional connection might be really talking about deep stuff, talking about inner workings. For a narcissist, it might be like, yeah, we're connected because we had sex last night. Completely different frame of reference. So unless you get really clear on what that emotional depth and connection actually is in the relationship, the person that you're with might be looking at it from a different perspective. So for me, when I looked at this emotional connection piece, it really boiled down to an emotional control piece. because I was able to manipulate and move and guide people's thoughts, ideas, and opinions based on what they already thought about me, based on what I was reflecting back to them. Hopefully that makes sense as we break that down. What you need to look at and what you need to see is the actions. Okay, because my actions consistently showed not true empathy, not emotional understanding, but emotional manipulation, trying to connect with someone without there actually being that depth there, without it actually being a real connection, just control. So like, think of it this way, like he might be showering you with affection, he might be giving you gifts, might be love bombing, might be all doing these things, but the whole piece is like, let me maintain control over you. Let me make sure you look and act and respond the way that I want you to do. But there's not a depth to the action. There's not a depth to the relationship. Like the attention might be only when it's serving for him. Like he might give you attention when he wants the sex, or when he wants to interact, or when he wants you to leave him alone so he can go do something else with someone else. Like there's all these different pieces of like that piece has to show up in a certain way to get the desired response. Remember, for a lot of times you are a toaster. You are an appliance to the narcissist. So it's like, what do I have to do to use you to get the thing that I want? That's what he's thinking the majority of the time. And as a result, it demonstrates his inability to actually connect on a sincere level. And it just continues happening over and over and over again. That's because narcissists view relationships as means to an end. Like it's a very self-centered perspective of like, I have to be able to get what I want, when I want, however I want, and you are the thing that's either standing in my way or going to enable me to get what I want. Okay, a narcissist views you as just a means to an end. Like relationships and interactions with others are tools to be able to satisfy their own needs rather than any avenue of actually having emotional intimacy or genuine connection. Like you're not going to see the actual genuine connection with a toxic person because they're just using you. This is the hard part because then you get to the place where you're like, maybe I can fix him. Maybe I can make him better. Maybe I can love him more. Maybe I can lead him in this direction. And it won't work because on the other side, he's looking at you from an emotional, manipulative, controlling aspect. So you're like, well, I'll do this to be able to help him. And you think you're helping when in reality on the other side, he's like, see, I'm controlling her because she's doing the things that I want her to do to give me more supply. Does this make sense? Because if it doesn't, you'll keep doing things for the other person. You'll keep trying things to get this other person to wake up. You'll keep trying to do certain things. And all those are responses and reactions that the narcissist is using to better their ego. You just become better supply by trying to do the things that the narcissist has no intention of changing, but they're letting you keep trying. Because for the narcissist, it switches around. Oh, this person still loves me. They're still obsessed with me. They still care about me. They're still loyal to me. Yeah, I created this bond, so they're all going to keep coming back. But like, look at that. I'm so amazing because they keep coming back. I'm so amazing because they keep responding. They can't leave me alone. Like, this shows how important I am, etc., etc. Like, the things you do that oftentimes you think are helpful, oftentimes do not help at all and are just furthering the supply wheel. Just furthering what the narcissist wants in the moment because you're actually giving them a response or reaction. So for narcissists, you need to be able to understand, like typically they're using you as a tool to be able to get what they want. End of the day, that's what it is. Like focused on what do I want in the moment? How do I get that? And as a result, using you as a tool or seeing you as an extension of themselves rather than being a separate individual with your own unique expression, perspective, thoughts, feelings, emotions, everything. But instead, you become the toy on the shelf. You become the one that the narcissist uses and abuses and does what they want with. Then puts you back, goes to the next person, and comes back whenever they want to pick you back off the shelf. Like being with a narcissist, you have to understand you are typically in the relationship, you are typically this like vehicle to be able to boost ego, to be able to get the validation that they want, or to secure resources, your finances, your time, your energy, your like everything. That's what it is. A means to an end, transactional. This isn't just a piece where the narcissist is always coming in being like, let's do this transaction. Exchange. A lot of narcissists do that. with hookers and prostitutes. But it's not just always that. It's not just them thinking, let me do this to exchange. Because it becomes so ingrained over a period of time, that feels normal. That becomes a new definition of what love is, of what care is. For me, I thought I was building a connection when in reality, I was establishing control. Do you see the difference? So like for me, like I thought, oh, there's a connection between me and this person. We're really connected. We're having a great time. All this emotional stuff feels great, but it was shallow. And all I was doing was establishing barriers to be able to control this person of how they would respond and react to me. Oftentimes you are looking at the relationship from a different perspective with a different definition, where the narcissist is looking at it from their side being like, how can I manipulate and control this person? Is it always conscious? No, it's not always conscious. A lot of times it becomes innate because of repeated behaviors over and over and over. It becomes habit. And as they attach a new lie, a new definition onto it, it becomes to the place where it becomes normal to them and it becomes their truth. And until a person is willing to break down their truth and deal with the facts of the situation, they will always be stuck in an alternate version of reality, and a one that says they're right even when they're wrong, that they didn't do anything wrong even when they did, and they'll continue to live the same exact way regardless and no matter what you do.